Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sincerely Agile with Mary. Now, if you're joining us for the first time or you're watching the replay, this is the platform where we want to learn, unlearn, and relearn, make change agents of ourselves. And it is certainly a place where we want to be awesome and wholesome together. And when we say that, we really, really do mean it. We want you to be awesome and wholesome together with us here. Now, today, as always, I have another amazing guest. Our topic today is downplaying potential. And I have Monika Zampa to share the platform with me this evening, talking about downplaying potential. And I am just going to welcome her to the screen. Hello, Monika. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for having me here. Really
Thank
thrilled.
you. Thank you for making time to be with me. I'm really, really grateful. I really appreciate you. Now, Monica, it's been a lovely weekend. What have you been up to?
I spent some time with my daughter. She's 9 and a half, visiting friends, decorating. We're going to paint, partying, connecting with women around the world,
Fantastic.
exercising.
Absolutely. Talking about exercising, I went exercising this morning. I'm really, really proud of myself because I'm often lazy about it. There are some weeks when I go for like 5 times. I go walking around the block for about 30 minutes and I come in, I do a little bit of yoga. And there are days where I'm just like, I can't be bothered. That's the one thing I really want to be consistent about. I also took time out this weekend to clear out my shed. I just feel I needed to declutter and getting rid of some clothes, some books, some stuff in the shed that I know I'm not going to be using for the next 5 years. So that for me was very, very, it was important that I did that because I've been putting it off for a very long time. And I didn't want the summer to go and still have all that clutter. And with all that clutter gone, I actually sort of feel free. I don't know how to explain it. So I guess decluttering is quite a thing we should be doing from time to time. Do you do that from time to time?
I do it continuously, especially
Mm,
my clothes. And what because we are energetic beings, so when you clear your clothes, your closet, or your shed, you're actually creating more space in your life for something new to come in. And it doesn't really matter if you're clearing the books or dishes. You once you clear something in your holistic life, there is a space for something new.
and that is exactly how I feel. Thank you so much for explaining that. Now, Monica, we stream on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and we already have some people joining us. I like to carry our audience along. I have Victoria here, that's actually my daughter. I have Ronke. There's a LinkedIn user here. I can't see your name. I have my mom from Arizona. Good evening. And I have another LinkedIn user here, but unfortunately, we cannot see your name. Now, let me introduce you very quickly to our audience, Monica. And I'm just going to read your bio.
Yeah.
Monica is a keynote speaker, a best selling author, a female empowerment coach, and energy healer of Czech Russian origin and currently living in Amsterdam. She is the mother to an amazing 9-year-old daughter. She is extremely passionate about inspiring and motivating women to flourish and thrive in any context, especially when bouncing back from adversity. Having left her corporate careers in London and at a point an art gallery owner, she has now embarked on a journey of creation, women's circles, meditation, energy healing, and coaching. Her passion and hobbies include energetics, holistic approach to life, money mindset, conscious parenting, neuroscience, ecstatic dance, nature, and fun. Now, you are welcome to Sincerely Agile with Mary, Monica. Now, in your bio, you talked about um, art gallery. You've worked in the
Mhm.
corporate environment and you also, at one point, owned an art gallery. Tell us a little bit more about that. That sounds rather interesting.
Ah, that's a really beautiful introduction. Thank you. So, before I became a gallery owner, I had to rewire, let's say, 20 years. When I was about 15, I was asked by my dad what I want to do in life. And I said, I
Mhm.
want to make jewelry, because I always was busy with my hands, making beads and always busy. But he said, no, no, women, you need to be a secretary at the time, we're talking about many years ago, where you can earn money. So I studied that and I became a banker, long story short. And then at the age of 32, I started art academy here in Amsterdam. So my dream was fulfilled. And then at one point, when I finished my graduated, I was asked to run a gallery, and I was doing this necklace, which I have on me, is one of the pieces I designed.
Wow.
And conceptual jewelry is where you have a concept, an idea, and then you create a piece to match to suit your body. And it could be a big piece or small piece. You can wear it or you don't have to. And I had 60 artists around the world I was representing, and I took the gallery to London, different parts, and it was all over the world. So it was
Wow.
beautiful.
So the piece you have here right now is one of your,
Yes,
creation essentially. It's beautiful. And I can see it's a combination of metal and beads.
yes.
Beautiful.
Well, these are actually pearls. The
Okay.
very expensive pearls, and a steel, which this steel is from the bicycle chains here in Amsterdam. And the
Okay.
idea was to combine the symbol pearl symbolizes the femininity, and the steel symbolizes the male strong parts. So when we combine these two, my idea was to show that you could be a powerful woman, but you have a feminine side and a masculine side. And by melting the pearls into steel, we are creating a new entity. And it's also about people who do not fit into a box, who are
Wow.
called in society abnormal. And I'm all about that.
And you talked about bicycle there, and in Amsterdam, you all ride bicycles everywhere.
Yes.
I think there are more bicycles than cars,
Oh, absolutely. We
and
all do.
that's very ecologically friendly, it's environmentally friendly. Oh, you're
Yes.
freezing there, Monica. We're losing you a little bit from time to time. It's very environmentally friendly, so that is really, really good. The one I have here, I've got this piece here, and I got this while I was on holiday in Cancun recently. I was in Cancun for my birthday, and I just thought, you know what, I need to go away with a piece, and this is what I came away with. So, anyway, interesting conversation there about your creative side and a lovely piece you're wearing right there. Now, let me, okay, we've got, okay, it's Pamela. Hello, Pamela, how are you? Right. So today our topic, downplaying potential.
Mhm.
Now, this is an important topic for us women, especially because statistics shows that women usually feel more imposter syndrome than men. Women, for on the when we look at things from the home front, the responsibility, taking care of children, the home front, that tends to default to us. And, we could say that sometimes our careers are affected. I certainly can tell you that at one time, I came away from my corporate environment to do something else just so that I can have more time for my family, essentially. It was as a result of needing to do more for my family. So, as you can see, it tends to default more to the women. So we're talking about downplaying potential in different contexts today. And you're going to be helping us here because this is what you do most of the time. But before I go on, tell us a little bit more about yourself. You've told us about your, creative side, but tell us just a little bit more. What makes Monica Zampa? What makes you tick? Because I know you're, like you said, you don't fit into a box.
So yeah, how people say, what do you do, who you are? So who I am today, the public speaker, and I write a lot and I impact women. My who I am today is the journey which took me all these years. And every single woman who is watching or will be watching, we all go through moments in our lives where we don't feel really right, or we are maybe not even treated correctly.
Mm,
So, and toxic relationship is one of my specialities. So I
yeah.
had many relationships emotionally not right. Let's say they were toxic or draining. And when I started 3 years ago, I embarked on very particular, very intense transformational journey I realized that there are so many women who are in the same shoes like me, and I started to learn about coaching and talking about that.
Monica, can I stop you for a minute? You're freezing. Is your phone on your internet? You can take your phone off your internet to, make more bandwidth available for you. You're using your laptop, right?
Yes, I'm using my laptop. The only thing is
Okay.
maybe my daughter is using a internet. I'll ask
No,
her.
that's okay, because yesterday we didn't have this problem. So if you can take your telephone off your Wi-Fi, that could then perhaps make more bandwidth available for you. That's what I do sometimes when I have
Okay,
that
I'm going
problem,
to close my
because we
phone.
keep losing you.
Yeah.
So let's try that
Um,
and see what happens. Just your phone. Just take your phone
yeah.
off your Wi-Fi and then let's
I
see if
can
it
do
gets
that.
better. Okay, cool. Let's see if that works any better. Yeah. Okay. So sorry to interrupt you there, but we're
No
losing you so
problem.
much. I needed to say that. Okay. So please go ahead.
Um, oh yeah. So basically, what happened when I realized that I was in a different toxic relationship, and there were so many women not knowing how to transition, how
Mm-hmm.
to move forward, I started to speak about that and wrote articles, connect with people around the world. And it happened that I became a coach. But you are not a coach by mistake. Your whole journey in life leads you toward it. And I felt, especially with the energy healing, that I had these powers right in the beginning. But in my country, in Czech Republic, it wasn't really encouraged to show these. So I was putting it down. I was downplaying my potential all my life, until I realized, yes, this is who I am, and I'm proud of it. I honor my feminine lineage. In my Russian part, my mom and my grandmother were both healers. So it's kind of organically flown into where I am right now. Creativity is one part. I use creativity as art to show my concept, because I was very introverted. I was very shy to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
And only recently, all the ideas, all the thoughts, and the way I see the life, I'm able to express it with my voice and with
Right.
writing.
So essentially, your journey has taken you this far. And because of what you have experienced, you are then using that experience to coach other women. I mean, you've talked about being in a toxic relationship, you've talked about how your potential was downplayed, and you've also talked about how a woman being forward, if I can say that, was not encouraged in your environment also. I mean, that's a very common thing. I've lost you again. That's a very common thing. As women, we are supposed to be heard, or perhaps not seen. We're supposed to be at the back, not at the front. If you talk too much, you're not feminine, or you're showing too much of your masculine side. So that leads me to ask you this question: is it still a man's world?
A beautiful question. I've been thinking about it few days already. Like, is it still a man's world? And I did also some research. Some men will say no,
Mm-hmm.
but most women will say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Most women will say it is still a man's world, and statistically, there are still more men earning high wages compared to females. And when I was doing the research by Stephen Tobuck in already 2011, he said that the reason why men are paid more is because they take more risky jobs. Women, or they are willing to put more hours. They're
Right.
willing to work at the weekend. But women choose to find, like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
they choose to find jobs which accommodate the family. They accommodate the proximity. So we women, it's also me. I rather, if I have my daughter at school, I would try to find work when I used to work
Mm-hmm.
in the local area, because I don't want to travel. So naturally, because we are nurturing, we put ourselves on a second
Yeah.
plate and our family on the first, maybe even third or fourth plate if you have many, many children.
Exactly. If you have many children, you sometimes you're not even on the list.
Yeah. And the actually the problem is that it's you. You can decide, I'll be number one, and then my family will be number two. but we are not encouraged to do that.
We are
Because if
not.
you put yourself number one, you'll be told that you are selfish, you're egoistic. But to be honest, the whole family very often stands on women's shoulders. The
Yeah,
man provides financially, maybe, but the rest, the operational part of the family is done by a female. So it's
absolutely.
probably essential that woman acts from desire and choice. And when she feels tired, she replenishes that by going outside into nature,
Hmm.
having massages, going for
Hmm.
walks, taking
Hmm.
breaks.
Hmm.
That's super important. And people think it's a luxury, but actually it's essential.
It is
Totally.
essential. It is. Now, that is interesting what you've just said there. I mean, as women, like I said before, the home front tends to default to us, and we very subconsciously, every single decision we are taking, every step we make, we are consciously thinking of the family front, if
Yes.
the home front, if you like you said, you are taking a job, you don't want it to be too far from home. You're taking a job as a woman, you're thinking of the hours. And on the whole, that seems to have put us at a disadvantage in the corporate world, in terms of leadership positions, even in the political arena. That is also the case. And we tend, I mean, like you said, we are even sometimes not on the list. Okay, it's family first. If you have so many children like me, I've got 4 children and a grandson, then I'm perhaps number 6 or number 7. But you also said something which I'm really interested in hearing more of. You said, how can we make ourselves number one? Must we always be the last on the list, or perhaps not even on the list? How can it be a win-win situation? And that is why we are having this conversation today. And how we can sort of, not necessarily downplaying our potential, being a wife and a mother, and still have a thriving career. How we can have all of this win 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 is also part of the conversation we're having today. I think we have some comments here. Um, hello, my name is Katume. Nice to be here. Nice to have you here. We have Visa here. Hello, nice to have you again here today. Hello, Grace. Nice to have you here. And I think that's Pamela again. So, how can we have a win win where our potential is not downplayed or, overlooked just because we are women? And what are the roles we need to play? Those are the things we're looking at here today. Now, but before you answer that question, let me see what I have here. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So, why is it that women are still marginalized and their potential downplayed generally in society? And how can we rise above that?
When you build a house, it doesn't matter how beautiful it is.
Hmm.
You always have to build the foundations, really
Absolutely.
strong foundations. Without the foundations, everything will just fall apart.
Yeah.
So, with this question is, if you want to have a beautiful relationship, beautiful family, thriving career, the absolute foundation is self-love, is to really appreciate who you are. And we are bombarded with limiting beliefs and stories from society,
Hmm.
from teachers, parents, and
Hmm.
really transition from that into believing that you are worthy, that you're worthy of receiving, you are worthy of allowing yourself more time, requires inner journey. It requires that you go inside and realize, I am amazing. I am good enough. I deserve to receive more love. I deserve to receive money. Money and love and is connected. Money is an energy. And before you actually say I'm enough, what I teach my clients very often is a mirror work. It's a simple exercise for 28 days where you rewire your thinking, your brain patterns. When you look at the mirror and for long enough, and you look at yourself and say, I'm amazing, I'm enough, I love myself. You put your own affirmations, which you design yourself. I help my clients to do that. And for 28 days, you repeat it. And after 28 days, next time you look at the mirror, automatically you say, I'm amazing. It happened to me. And since that moment, I believe I'm amazing. 47 years, I thought I'm not good enough. So we all have the potential to change how we think about ourselves. And that's the first step, because it's not the society which is putting us down. We are putting ourselves down. To
Wow.
say that society is to blame, no, we are to blame. Once you realize I have the power, when you're at home with 5 kids, to say, excuse me, everybody, I'm number one. And when mama is happy, all the kids are happy.
Wow. I like that. And you know what you just said now reminds me of what they tell us in the aeroplane. You know, when you're in the aeroplane and you're about to take off, if you're holding a baby, they tell you to put on your oxygen mask first
Yes,
before attending to that baby. For me, that analogy just sums up what you've just said right now. So it's
absolutely.
our fault. It's not society.
Well, and I wouldn't even say fault. We have been living in patriarchal society for
Yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of years.
exactly.
And we are, we are energy. We are like a glass. So everything people say, it stays in our cells. And we are, most of it, 95% of our actions are subconscious. So we are acting on patterns from our mom, our grandma, grandma, and all the other generations before. So it's a really deeply rooted beliefs that we are not allowed. We cannot speak out. And what is happening right now, because I partnered with a beautiful online community of really high empowered women, by being in a close proximity with powerful women, you start to listen to those words and you take them on and you start to believe that it's actually true. And you sometimes have to borrow someone else's belief until you believe it yourself.
Yourself. Wow. You talked about, you know, more or less social modeling. So, for example, we do stuff because we saw our mothers doing the
Yeah,
same thing. And our mothers, I mean, things are even better now. Our mothers, some of them couldn't even go to school, right?
absolutely.
Because they were women. I mean, this was very, very common. So things have gotten better, as a matter of fact. Things have gotten better. I want to come back to the 28 days affirmation
Yeah,
because I know that if you do something for long enough, you build the memory for it. It becomes it becomes your reality, so to speak. When we what I mean, how do you even get to that point? I think is my question. How do you get to the point where you think you need to have a conference with yourself? Because going in front of the mirror is essentially having a conference to yourself. How do you know you are at that point where something isn't quite right? And I believe I have a question along those lines here for you. That is it here. What are the signs that gets a woman to enough already? How do you know this is it? How do you know what? I'm against the wall right now. I can't give anymore, you know? What are the signs?
it's very, very simple, because every woman who is listening has been there. I am
Mm,
100% convinced. It's when you when you don't have joy.
mm.
You don't have joy in your life. Everything is gloomy. You do not laugh.
You do
You
not laugh.
you
Mm,
do not laugh. You are afraid to speak out because you're afraid someone's going to criticize you, or you're not going to voice your opinion because you're afraid that they will silence you. And then, of course, physical abuse is where, I just say it simply, you are beaten up to the point where you say no more. But we as humans, we we have this very particular streak that we always have to go to the extreme pain. When it's extremely painful, physically or mentally or emotionally, and we say we can't take it anymore, then we take action. And it doesn't matter how often, how many coaches you listen to, what kind of podcasts you listen to, if you do not feel that level of pain, you're not going to act.
right. So it gets to the threshold, and I guess that threshold will be different for every woman, but it has to get to that threshold of pain where
Yes,
you can't take it anymore.
yes.
And
And it
then you get the trigger. That is what triggers it, right? To then say something isn't quite right here, or this is not how it is supposed to be.
And very often you know it already for years. You
Mm-hmm.
have the inkling. So I deal with powerful women in toxic relationship, powerful corporate women who are secretly hiding it. They do not want to admit themselves or people around them or the family or colleagues. We women tend to pretend that everything is okay
Yeah,
until it's not okay. But we
yeah,
know deep down that something is not right. Every woman knows because we have
mm-hmm.
intuition. We
Of
have
course.
different centers of we are very intuitive. We are very sensitive. So you know if something is not right, if you are oppressed.
Mm-hmm. And this could be in the work environment. It could be in our marriages or relationships. We're not just talking about marriage here or man woman
No.
relationship. It could be in any context.
It could be absolutely in a work environment.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that you take a new job, you're
Mm-hmm.
very capable, very powerful woman, and you are in a toxic environment, and one of the colleagues or a boss is constantly putting you down,
Yeah.
slowly, day by day, drop by drop, and before you know it, you lost all your confidence,
Freelance.
and you're heading towards a burnout
Yeah.
because you are keeping up the appearance that everything is okay, but deep down, it's destroying you.
Absolutely. And it's the same emotion, I guess. It's the same emotion. It's the same, feeling, whether it's in a work context or in your personal life. I mean, you said something. You said when you don't feel joy anymore, and you could be in your work environment and feel no joy. You could be in your marriage and feel no joy. When you don't laugh anymore, because how we feel on the inside is what we see on the outside for the most part. When we feel afraid to speak, when we feel we're walking on eggshells, these are the signs, right?
Yes, and what is beautiful because I was doing some talk a few months ago, and I prepared a 10 steps how to spot toxic relationship, and one of
Okay.
them is, for example, that when you meet somebody, a new person, and then you, you are so excited, new relationship, but the signs of toxic relationship or manipulation is are already there. So for example, one sign is that if the person's life is in a mess, either physically, financially, and they do not want to deal with it, they do not want to clear it, they don't want to, they stay where they are, or if they are over controlling, asking you where you're going, what time you're going to be back, or giving too many compliments on a first date, these are streaks of potentially over manipulative person, over jealous person. And before you know it, if you enter that relationship, you are doomed to be in a unhappy,
Mm-hmm.
self-destroying relationship. And in a work environment, the biggest problem or the biggest pain is that you cannot voice your opinion in knowing that you'll be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was working in a banking industry, I was in an investment banker in London. I was the youngest person and the only woman in a board, and I my voice was almost not heard. I was no one asked me any questions, and I didn't feel comfortable to speak up because all these men.
Yeah, it was highly male dominated.
Very.
Um, Going back to women not, acting fast enough. It takes me to my next question, which is: are women too resilient for their own good? Are we too resilient? Because I mean, I know the threshold for pain or for anything it differs, but
Yeah.
generally speaking, because you said something earlier, you said we don't want to talk about these things even when things are not going well at work or if things are not going well in our relationships. We hide it. We don't want to talk about it. And I wonder sometimes if we feel some degree of shame, which is why
Absolutely,
we
Mary.
don't want to talk about it. But that's not our shame, really and truly. That's not our shame to feel, which is so unfortunate. So are we too resilient for our own good? We just, or is it the way we are wired, naturally?
No.
Because as women, we are nurturers, right? We are nurturers. We are collectors. We don't scatter, if I can use that word. We want to keep things together. So is it because of where we're coming from in terms of our nature? That is why we're so resilient and hopeful.
Oh, brilliant question. And I hope to give a good answer. So we are indeed collectors. We thrive in communities. Women like
Hmm.
yourself and me and all other women who are watching it, we know that if we are in the right environment, we are thriving. And very
Exactly.
often in this society, we are living alone. And so many women are single moms or co-parenting moms, and we become independent out of not choice, but because we have to. So we do the men's role and a woman's role. So in one person, we become over independent.
Hmm.
We're taking all the other roles upon us, which creates this image of tough woman, tough, powerful woman. And that's a bit controversial, but if we allow ourselves to be more feminine, to relax in our nurturing and nurturing element, and allow the man to take over, to do his part, then there is more balance.
Hmm.
Do we?
But that was how it was originally designed, though. Let's step back a little bit, Monica. Let's step back a little bit. Let's go back to the Stone Age, right? A time when the men went hunting. Okay, the men went hunting, the women were at home taking care of the family, and during harvest, the women too would go to the farm and stuff like that. So the men have always had this macho stance, okay, of being the provider, of being the protector, if you like. That has always been the stance. I can't help sometimes but wonder that I mean, when we talk about the way we are wired, that hasn't exactly changed much. So till date, the men still feel they have to take that controlling spot, right? That controlling position belongs to them, right? But things have moved on.
Mhm.
Women are no longer always at home. I mean, in as much as sometimes when we go for our career, we go for careers that might be flexible so that we can pay attention to the family and all of that. We don't want to travel too much. The fact still remains that women are out there working in the corporate world, in manufacturing, in all walks of life. They're out there working. And from an intellectual or cognitive perspective, a woman can match a man any day. Okay. Now, in terms of hunting and macho stuff, a man would, would win any day, I guess. But when
Absolutely.
it comes to the cognitive, a woman will match a man any day. A woman can be as good a CEO, if not better than a man. A woman can be as good a director or a bank manager or a president. Look at what the president of, I think, New Zealand, look at what that woman is doing. Unfortunately, I can't remember her name right now. Look at what she is doing. So when it comes to the cognitive, women would match a man any day. So my question to that effect is, have our men become comfortable, or are they still on that journey to accept this new woman, if I can put it that way?
I'm not a man, well, not in this lifetime, but there is a point
Mm,
where women, because I work with women mostly, we are hungry. We are hungry and determined to change our lives because we want better lives for our children, right? We are doing it for our children and their children, for
mhm,
generations to come. And so we do all these courses, we do personal development, and men,
mhm.
there are a group of men who are heart-centered, and I'm blessed to know a few of them. But majority they are acting exactly on that old DNA, on this reptilian brain where I need to
Exactly.
survive. And the reptilian brain we have different parts we have several brains. And one of them, the reptilian brain, doesn't change. They are acting still, I need to provide, I need to be provider. And very often it does not happen, because what if woman earns more money than a man? It's not
That
in
is that is happening a lot.
I know, and it's not in society. it's not really encouraged. It is more common that man earns more money than a woman. And if a woman wants to take a personal coach or invest into herself, she needs to go to a man to ask for approval, which is crazy. So it is the best way to do it if the woman works on herself, on her self-love, nurturing herself, allowing herself to believe that she is worthy, that she is, it is her birthright to be abundant, to have more love, and then act like that. And the man, if he's a heart-centered man and open to change, he will see, he will notice the changes.
You just said something now. You said if he's a heart-centered man, so a man who appreciates the fact that this woman is brilliant, she's amazing, she can go
Yeah,
out there and do amazing things.
yeah.
But there are some men who actually downplaying a woman's potential. Some men do that to the detriment of society, obviously, because a woman can add so much value. And if you look at, for me, I often say that the one thing I do not want to see wasted is human capacity. I do not want to see that wasted at all. But for so many years, women's potential have been downplayed. So as a woman, where you can achieve so much, and you feel suffocated in a relationship, or you are in a work environment and your potential is being downplayed, how do you what do you do?
Take a breath.
That's a good start.
Take a breath.
Hmm.
Allow yourself time for yourself. Even if you take half a day or
Hmm.
1 day holiday and spend it by yourself and listen to your inner voice.
Yeah.
Remember that little girl and her dreams. Remember what she wanted when she was little girl. I always wanted to create and help women around the world. Even if a little girl, I always felt the pain and the suffering from all women around the world. And I don't know how and why, but it was always there. So listen to yourself. What is your voice telling you? Because the inner voice is always telling you, is always guiding you. Listen to it and write it down. You don't have to show it to anybody. Just write it for yourself and go back to you and allow yourself to make small steps, but do them daily. For example, if you start to meditate, you can start with 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Carve a time for yourself. And the more you come to your inner nature, the more powerful you're going to be. And if you build a strong shield of self-confidence and self-love, you will notice already who is taking the energy from you and who is giving it.
Wow.
You will start to filter the people around you, and you quickly spot who is the toxic person. And if you're a smart woman, you're going to detach yourself from that toxic environment. And
That
every
is a very powerful statement there, Monica. You need to identify the people who are either giving you energy or draining energy from you. That is so important. And I hope our audience, I hope you're listening to that. That is so, so important so that you can distance yourself from the energy vampires, essentially. We have a comment here, and this is quite a good one. At that threshold, you remember we're talking about threshold just now? At that threshold, Ronke is saying, if you don't have the right information or knowledge, it could be tragic. And that is so true. What do you say to that?
the threshold we are talking about, if you are in a toxic environment.
Yes. When when we were talking about enough being enough, how do you know when enough is enough? And I talked about how different women
Yeah.
have different threshold and how we're so resilient. And what Ronke is saying here is that our resilience could take us to the point of
Yes.
tragic.
Well, there is so much information, and there are women who would help other women for free. We live in a era where we are bombarded with information. If you
Yes.
deeply desire to change, if you deeply desire to have a different life,
Hmm.
universe is sending you messages every single day. There are courses, there are people you meet.
Hmm.
It's up to you if you are receptive, if you want to hear it.
Right.
Find the right information. Like, for example, toxic relationship, you Google it, there's tons. I will send you the PDF.
Mhm.
There is plenty of information. It's very often that we don't want to admit it.
Right. I mean, luckily, like you said, there's a lot of information out there, but it all comes with a deep level of awareness.
Yeah,
And that is why we're having this conversation, because we obviously want women to find themselves in a win-win situation, be it at home or at work. I mean, we shouldn't downplay our potential just because we've suddenly become a married woman, or just because we now have children. I mean, I believe all our God-given gifts have been given to us so that we can use it to, make the world a better place. And you have said something here. You said we really need to meditate sometimes, look ourselves in the mirror and start having a conference with ourselves. And if we have these affirmations, frequently, we will start believing it, because before we can act, we have to think it first, right? We have to think it, we have to feel it before we can put anything into action. So I'm a firm believer of that thought process, of that conference with oneself. And I tell you, when it comes to having a conference with yourself, I have done that a lot. Because
absolutely.
and my children, when my children were young, they would be like, "Who are you talking to, mommy?" you know yeah, my children have asked me that so many times. "Mommy, who are you talking to?" And I'll just so that they don't go and tell their friends their mommy is crazy or whatever, I just used to say to them, "I'm talking to Jesus. I'm praying. I'm talking to Jesus." That used to be my answer to them. So it is a very powerful thing to do. It doesn't mean you're mad. You're not mad. You're not mad at all. It's a very powerful thing to do, having a conference with yourself, knowing very well where you are right now, where you hope to be. And I like how you said we should remember what we wanted as young girls, right?
Because your dreams never go away. If I would ask people, I was asked 3 years ago, what is my dream?
Yeah.
I was said, like you say, draw a line in a sand. So we all have it. Before a big leap, before I became this public speaker and I could
Hmm.
write, I felt comfortable sharing my message in front of camera. I wasn't like that. So
Yeah.
before that, there was a moment where it was desperation, and I started step by step. I did the
Hmm.
mirror work. I looked at the
Hmm.
mirror every single day in the bathroom, saying how beautiful I am, how clever I am. And all these messages, all these voices, which I used to be told, were bombarding me. So there was a fight. Then meditation, then really saying, stopping your work,
Hmm.
whatever it is, and removing yourself and going into nature, appreciating nature, because in nature you get so much grounding, so much energy, so
Absolutely.
much love. If you don't have it at home, there's plenty of love in nature.
Hmm. And that feeling of not being, not doing enough, or that feeling of lack of empowerment, is not always as a result of a toxic relationship. Sometimes it could just be the fact that, what, you took a decision 20 years ago, 25 years ago, to be a stay-at-home mother, or to do less, like
Yeah.
we said before, just so that you can be available for your children. That is not about bad thing. We're not dismissing that. But you get to a point where you're thinking, it's time I start looking out for me,
Yes.
right? It's time I start looking out for me. You feel like you have put your dreams on hold. You feel like you have put your whole plans on hold for your family. I mean, I certainly felt like that at some point in my life. I
Hmm.
I started my corporate career, and then at some point I left. And then you said something. You said, when you're not feeling joy, when you're not laughing. There was a point like that in my life where I knew I could be in a better place. And this
Mm.
was when it was an intense moment in my life that I started to have a conversation with myself, have a conference with myself. Like you said, remembering our
Yeah.
dreams, our hopes and dreams. What was it I wanted? But we tend to detour because of marriage and because of family, and we get left behind sometimes. So when we come back with full force, I guess.
And there's also, Mary, that's what you're just saying. It's so beautiful because the dreams, let's say you are a little girl, 6, 7,
Yeah.
you have dreams, then you go to school, you marry children, you travel, whatever you do. But those dreams are the same.
Yeah.
We're just using adult words, but they are
Mhm.
the same. thing. The way you are born into the on this planet with
Mm-hmm.
a mission, with particular passions, or you have a role in this life, and it's not going anywhere. If you are just postponing it because you using, very often we use family as excuse,
Mm-hmm.
and also it is a tremendously scary to do something which no one around you is doing it,
Yeah,
where your
absolutely.
family will potentially uh, disagree, where society will not support you, but your dream, your passion to, let's say, impact the world, or
Mm-hmm.
share the story is bigger than you.
Yeah.
It's bigger than you, then you do it.
Absolutely. Grace here is saying life is a process of self realization. Pain sometimes helps to bring out the consciousness and awareness that you are worthy and you are enough, and that we can do so much more. So, like I have said before, because for me, I mean, there are times women come to me when I'm helping them with their CV, and they're like, "Oh, I've been at home taking care of my children," and they feel that is not a big deal. And I say, look, you have been a project manager. Okay. So see yourself during that period as a project manager. So what I'm trying to say here is even the work we do as, in terms of parenting, we by ourselves, we downplay it.
Parenting is the hardest job
It's the
ever.
hardest job ever.
CEO, a head of CEO with a team, has a team, has a
Yeah.
strategy, we have
Yeah.
marketing departments. Moms, if we're talking to moms, we are chauffeurs,
Yeah.
cleaners, we cook, we educate, we do the emotional support, the physical support, we buy clothes, we think ahead, how I'm going to bring the child up, what do I say, what kind of books I buy. It's a lot. And
It is a lot.
you are shaping, you're bringing someone into life who can change the world. So
Absolutely.
your
Absolutely.
child can change the world.
Absolutely. It's really important that we emphasize that, because what we're saying here, we're not saying that it's a bad thing to take time out for your family. I certainly did it. But you will come to a point where you're feeling, how about me now? Maybe when your children are growing, they've all grown up now. And then you think, okay, it's been 18 years since the last time I was out there doing any corporate work or any kind of business. Where do I start from now? So, as much as possible, we want to really create an awareness here today that we should not dampen our potential. And I feel that with the technology available to us today, and with what has happened post COVID, that we can have the best of both worlds today. We can have the best of both
Absolutely.
worlds. So we can be at home as a stay home mom, taking care of our family and building a top notch career at the same time. I think COVID has really amplified that, and it is doable. It is
Uh,
doable.
it is. I see it. So
Hmm.
maybe I would like to. I see it every day. I'm part of a feminine online business where women,
Hmm.
mom, 3 children, homeschooling, unschooling, travel the world, they are doing it. They're at home
Hmm.
using what you are just watching, either telephone or a computer, and they're using the online space to create really high income by being
Exactly.
themselves, by sharing the story, the wins and the challenges, and partnering with particular offer. But
Hmm.
there's a method for women how to create freedom, financial freedom, how to believe in yourself, how to
Yeah.
have amazing self expression. It is available and it is there.
It is available and it is there. Absolutely. Lydia here says, so true, Mary. We do a lot at home and don't realize how those skills are transferable, seriously transferable. So when women come to me and like, oh, I've not worked for 10 years, I'll be like, excuse me, you've got 3 children, you've been taking care of them. That is project management right there. Project management at its best. So I then help
Mhm.
them reward their CV and, let them know that they shouldn't downplay that. So we really need to hold in high esteem being a stay-at-home mom until, if that's what we choose to do, until we, decide to go back out there and empower ourselves even more. But like I just said, with digital, with technology, and with post COVID opportunities in terms of remote working, we can do both very well now in parallel. So we don't necessarily have to wait 18 years for our children to be 18 before we start doing stuff.
Now,
We can do it in parallel now. There's so much we can do. And I think I have one more comment here. Okay, let me go back to my banners. Monica, you were talking about online businesses, and that's one of the things you also do. You introduce women to online businesses. So you have a community called the Awakened and Empowered Females, right? That is on Facebook.
yes, it's on Facebook, and it's a result of my work over the last 3 years, and I invite women to have a look on a method. It's a beautiful method how women who are deeply desiring to impact the world, who have vision, who have dreams, but they don't know how to create income. They don't know how to do it. And this is how I talk about that in my group, and I had weekly talks, and I have questions and answers, and women are very much welcome to have a look if they are looking to create income online. And why online? Because it creates time freedom and location freedom. So I do my work in pockets of time. So I do it around my daughter. When she's at school, I work. When we are in the park, I have 15 minutes. I do my work, 15 minutes, and then I'm with her. So I'm balancing my life, work, and private life together, and it goes very well, very smoothly.
It works.
Yes.
I mean, like I said before, post COVID has really given us an opportunity to do both in parallel. I'm working from home right now. I mean, before COVID, I used to travel a lot. I worked outside of the United Kingdom. I've worked in Norway. I've worked in Brussels. I've worked in Amsterdam. I've worked in Rotterdam. So I traveled a lot. But today, with all the remote opportunities that has been presented to us, I've been working from home for the past 2 years. I mean, when I get any, job coming my way, the first question I ask is it fully remote for now? Because that is what works for me for now, based again on my family demand. So at the end of the day, we have those opportunities right now in the tech space, in terms of online businesses. We just need to go out there and research what can really help us leverage our potential. Enough already. Women are amazing. We can do amazing stuff. I mean, let nobody tell us otherwise. We have women,
Yeah.
as presidents of nations, and they are doing an amazing job, even better than the men. I think I'm allowed to say that, better than the men. So yes, we can do amazing stuff. And you also have a website, monikazampa.com. So
Yes.
please visit her website. You were talking about some guides earlier on. Tell us more about
I
those
have
guides.
few guys. I'm always an overgiver.
Uh-huh.
So I have one about how to spot toxic relationship, but also if people want to know how to raise your vibrations, what kind of 10 steps you can do to raise your vibration right now. I'm happy to provide that. And
When you say vibration, what do you mean?
when you're constantly tired, when you're
When you're
constantly
constantly tired.
irritated, we are constantly unhappy,
Hmm.
you're feeling down all the time, and it's not
Overwhelmed, feeling
overwhelmed,
overwhelmed.
anxiety,
Yeah,
and it is not let's say, medical depression is really difficult because it's going too far. But if you are just before that, just before getting a burnout or in the burnout, to remove yourself physically from where you are working or from your family for even 10 minutes a day, going in the middle of your lunch break, going outside and walking and looking up, you see that the horizon is huge, unlimited possibilities. that
yeah,
alone that alone, the gesture, will increase self trust and mm, broaden your chances to be happy, because you say, oh my god, the sun is beautiful, the
yeah.
clouds are beautiful, and you feel this an amazing chemical in your body, and your body feels happy.
Just taking a walk, going out, breathing. That is so amazing. On this platform, we talk about making change agents of ourselves. We talk about learning, unlearning, and relearning. We talk about being awesome and wholesome together. Monica is doing a whole lot of stuff for women. based on the experiences she's had. She
Mm-hmm.
wants better for women, and that's why we're having this conversation today. Myself, I'm coming from a place where I want better for women. I want women to do better than I did, because I definitely, I mean, all the conversations we're having today, all the information we have available to us today. Sometimes I wish, I had all this information when I was 21 years old, okay? I wish I had all of them. But
Would you
because
listen, Mary? Would
exactly,
you
because
listen?
when we know better, we do better. And that is why on this platform, as much as possible, we're sharing information so that we can become more empowered and we can be better, and go for it, because we are more than enough. We can achieve amazing things. So I hope, for those of you here today, you've taken a thing or two away. Self-love is so important. I got to a point in my life, I was like, okay, Mary, where are you? you know, I got to that point in my life. It was like I got left behind. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I got left behind. And by I'm an intelligent woman. I'm not a dullard by any standard. I'm an intelligent woman. I'm a smart woman. I'm a hardworking woman. And yet I felt I got left behind. You know, I felt I had taken care of everybody but myself. Okay.
Mm.
I had taken care of everybody but myself. And now we're talking about wearing your oxygen mask before even giving that, another mask to your baby. So that analogy is so, so important. You cannot pour from an empty glass.
Oh, absolutely.
You cannot pour
Fill
from
it
an
up.
empty glass. Exactly.
Fill it
Exactly.
up
You
to the
exactly.
overflow.
We've got to fill it up, ladies. We have got to fill it up. We cannot pour from it. Sometimes it's like the world is just on our shoulders. We cannot pour. So we need to look out for ourselves. That is what this conversation is all about. Look out for number one. You are number one. Okay. I didn't look out for number one. I do not want the young girls coming up today to think they are number 10. No, they are not. They are
Mm.
number one. I,
Yeah.
I, I hope I'm making sense, Monica.
Absolutely. All my work, all the work I'm doing is for the
Yeah,
girl who's next to my living room, my daughter. And for her,
exactly.
I want her to believe I'm amazing. I want her to say, Mama, I'm amazing, and really,
Yeah,
really believe it. And that requires a lot of work on
absolutely.
mothers to
Absolutely.
we are the role models.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be that you're dropping one thing for the other. We can do both today. We don't have to, I mean, based on your choice anyway, but at least, like Ronke said earlier on, having that information, having that knowledge, and making an informed decision. But it all comes with, self awareness. We really need to be aware what is happening to us and what is it that we want. We must also know what we want. And please, above all, put number one first. You are number one. Um, Lydia says, Uh, and
Yeah.
then, okay, yes, that's okay. I saw that before. Thank you, Marilyn, Monica Zampa, for this, giving back and enlightening us. Yes, that's what we're trying to do. You cannot pour from an empty, you
No.
can't, from an empty glass. You can't. You cannot. If we burn out, it's not to the benefit of even our families, right? It is not. So we must take care of number one. I want you to go away with that analogy, Grace, that even in the aeroplane, they say put on your oxygen mask, even if you're carrying a 2-month-old baby. Okay, so think about that. We're coming to the top of the hour, Monica. I have shown your website.
Yeah.
Please check out her website. She has a lot of guides there. And next week, we're going to be having Phil Dana Madwegu. And still on the subject of potential, we're going to be looking at leveraging human potential. That is going to happen next Sunday. Thank you so much, Monica, for sharing with us here today. Thanks so much to our audience for showing up every Sunday. And this is where we're going to draw the curtain. Thank you so much for your time investment here, Monica. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye, everybody.